Good afternoon, all right? Good afternoon, all. We have attendees coming in, right? Increasing more numbers coming in and researchers also coming in. So we have our honorable guests, invited speakers from Monash University, Dr. AP, Dr. Goh Beng Hing, right? A young scientist and lecturers, right? In the domain of pharmacies, right? So let me introduce Dr. Goh. Right? Dr. Goh, he works in Monash University, and Monash University is famous for the pharmacology and pharmacies, right? And world ranking #1 and QS University ranking 57, right? So it's very famous university internationally. So Dr. Goh is now have done a lot of activity in research and academics and also coaching of the student, right? So he's very active in all related activity as a university lecturers and researchers, right? And so far he has come up with a number of publication, right? Up to date, right? Probably more than that, 180 international scientific articles, right? And you can easily search his publications and contribution to the science, right, on Google, right? So far, he have one policy document and 2 patents so far, and I hope there will be more incoming. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, and he has been very active in publication. I've been serving as chief editors in a number of journals and journals and proceedings, right? So a few of name which is unfamiliar to me, but they are great name for us, right? To us, right? So you may want to look for more portfolio about Dr. Goh, right? On Google and search for it, right? And we have also our co-presenter and Prof. Sam, right? Prof. Sam is going to stand for us, right? He has been very support to UTHM. He is also an alumni at alumni for UTHM. He graduated in year 2017, right? Year 2017, and has been a good friend of me and great supporter, right? Without Prof. Sam, right? We are not able to invite Dr. Goh today, right? Prof. Sam is our middleman, and he helped us a lot. Okay, thank you, Prof. Sam, right? So, Prof. Sam is going to help me run this lecture series and also going to ask question, right, along the presentation, right? So, without further ado, I would like to invite AP Dr. Goh Beng Hing to present his topic today. So, the stage is yours, Dr. Goh.
Okay, thanks, Prof. For Sam, and also definitely to the institution that inviting me to be here, and it's my pleasure to be here. And you can just call me Gore because to a certain extent there are not many Gore over here, especially in Monash. They just call me Gore, or else you can call me Behi. So those title and everything is just put aside. It's not really important. Important is I'm still
Okay,
who am
thank
I?
you, Goh.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I guess that today talk, even though I put it in this manner, biofunction molecule exploratory research, this is actually just to pinpoint that my group is working on different kind of the bioactivities, and it is just a reflection as well that when I view back how actually I progressed along the way, that when I was trained in the area of nature product and testing biofunctionality, and how I progressed when I joined Monash, and how I move forward, and what I plan to do in future. So the context of sharing today, I would say that is a little bit more conceptual, and it would be also deemed as the essence that throughout my thoughts, which is like, let's say you are a researcher, or perhaps you are educator, or perhaps you are interested in science, perhaps some of my sharing able to click with you, the way of how I articulate my thinking or my thoughts, rather than just talking about the science of what already done, but the conceptual part. Okay, to begin this talk, maybe I just quickly mention one statement, which is normally I will when having a conversation with my friends or colleagues, I normally will say that, from my perspective, science is always single fabric, single piece of fabric. It is just that our human, sorry to say, primitive mind, to a certain extent, we can't comprehend every single piece of them. We're trying to separate them into different pieces. Different pieces in the sense of, that's why we got the biology, chemistry, mathematics, and physics perhaps. Yeah. This is actually because of our mind unable to comprehend everything. We separate them into pieces so that we say that we are expert in this area because we just study this area. But the fact is, when you view it, we are part of this universe, and science is all around us. We are part of this universe. We are part of science. So in that context, for me, no need to really restrict ourselves in terms of picking up the new knowledge, which is, don't restrict it saying that I'm the chemist, I'm the engineer, or I'm the biologist or pharmacist. I just work in this context of area. Yeah, just trying to set the boundary, and this is the area. And nowadays, when we talk about science or progression, it's always multidisciplinary. We need experts from different areas. So again, back to what I'm going to share. So I'm going to go through some of the slides. Yeah. Okay. Just allow me to show you. This is the card that my PhD students she gave it to me during my last birthday. Yeah. I'm not asking you to look at the world best 老板 or the boss, but you look at the rest of small little images that distribute around this card. Okay. If let's say you have seen these all the small little images and so on, actually it present part of the research or the different kind of projects that I have gone through or embarking on, which is some of my students aware of. So it's quite diverse. We're going to see is like cosmetic, neuro, or even the plant-based project, insect, and so on and so forth. Okay. Just to link a little bit, if let's say trying to align my research goal to the SDG, basically I'm trying to tackle number 2 and number 3. So hunger and also good health. So I'm looking at the context of the potential use of the nature plants, I mean the plants, herbs, microbes, and algae, and in overcoming even, it could be the human disease, or somehow we can improve the production of food. Okay, for information, actually I got my PhD standard letter is 2012, and but I joined Monash earlier 2013. Then graduation ceremony for PhD is within the mid-year of 2013. So it means that I served as lecturer before even my graduation ceremony. So what I'm going to showcase is just some idea how actually being trained in the area. So I'm not too sure how many of you are aware when we claim some herbs or plants would be somehow poses anti-cancer activity, we need to do a lot of process. You heard about the extraction. If let's say you're buying some nutraceutical or cosmetic material or products, you're going to hear a lot about extract for what kind of plant extract, which is good for anti-cancer, good for whitening, and so on and so forth. So my PhD was trained in that area. So it means that it's the integrations of the knowledge of chemistry and also pharmacology. Yeah. And this project was partial my research finding during my PhD time. So we work on Swietenia macrophylla, which is called so-called sky fruit. And you look at that, the fruit is like pointing towards the sky. And there's a lot of traditional usage that for cancer, for skin, and perhaps even for the fertility, because the male electron dysfunctions and so on. People claim that after they've taken the sky fruit, just pointing towards the sky and they feel the power. Yeah. So that was the idea, quite famous on Malay, we call tunjuk langit in Malaysia. So this particular plant. But my study during the time was looking at the cancer, colon cancer. and we study about the so-called mechanism of action. When we mention mechanism of action, it says that perhaps relate to your engineering background is a mechanical process, each of a single process to lead to the output of the product. But for our scenario, we need to know how this process actually occur, eventually able to kill the cancer cell. So that's how my PhD project is being planned and hypothesized for during that time. So we're able to prove that this particular plant extract able to kill the cancer cell through a specific pathway. Yeah. Well, no need to so worry. It's just some idea. And we also conduct some of the research on the animal model. So this is a process that how we just prove it further by using different plants as well through a collaboration. Hey, that was before 2013. It means that before I joined Monash, before I graduate with my PhD, that is the time area of research that I was doing on. And I guess I'm not too sure how many of you gone through my lecture. So last week I just went to Putrajaya to share my lecture as well. So whenever I put this slide, a lot of people are laughing. They recognize me as a black or white cat lecturer or researcher. So I always putting this slide, especially those who are actually working in the drug discovery, we do understand very well when it comes to this context. The question is, if let's say there are two cats, you got white and you got black cat. So which cat you will deem would be the good cat? Yeah. Just in case anyone you want to give any feedback, do you think black or white cat would be a much more better cat? Just in case, anyone? Anyone? I'm not too sure. I can't really see the response. Okay, if let's say, from my perspective, it doesn't matter. As long the cat able to catch the rat or mice, it will be deemed as the good cat. Because for our point of view, if let's say the compound on the nature product able to exert the activity, even kill the cancer or antioxidant or anti-pigmentation, it's good for us, then we deem it as the good compound or good extract. Same to the cat, able to catch the rat, then it's a good cat. That's our simple analogy. So doesn't matter it's black or white, as long able to catch the rat or mice, it's deemed would be the good cat. And for our context, after I finished my PhD joining the Monash, because of that concept, I developed different skill sets or different biological assays. Yeah. So just revolving around two main points over here. So the key message I'm trying to show here is that when I moved to 2013, the first keyword whenever I embark in the project, because I'm new into the field, I don't have much of fun, and how I'm going to survive, ROI is very much important. Return of investment, how much you're going to invest in specific project, and you return how much. How much in terms of maybe publication, output, students, and perhaps the significance or the impact of the project. Okay, the keyword here is multidisciplinary for me during that time, 2013. So two main points I look into it: source of material. It means that subject of study. Let's say work on the plant, we need to keep on searching for the plant. If let's say something is very rare and very tough to get it, so sustainability issue would be there. How are you going to have, even you found a very good compound or very good product you developed, but you want to keep on producing it, you're going to face a lot of issues in terms of the source of material. So first issue I was thinking during that time was source of material. It means that subject of study. Before we choose subject of study, we need to take this into consideration. Secondly, it's called biofunctionalities. It means that the activity. If let's say if we're able to prove that particular sample subject of study to possess the activity, then we hit the jackpot. Okay, so there are two main points over here. How I actually go about it. Yeah. One part is I actually develop a lot of biological assay, we call it. or the experimentation model for us to do a testing. Yeah, this is one example of the experimental model that we created during that time. So during that time, it was funded by MOSTI, and our idea was like we use the zebrafish as a model for fertility. It means that we use that to see whether able to showcase a good fertility to improve the sperm production. So the whole idea is that it's going to affect our brain. There are certain neurons that regulate the production of sperm rather than just looking at the testes, but we target on the brain neuron. And eventually we develop a model, we manage to develop a model, and we test on the samples that just now I mentioned, my PhD project, the sky fruit, and we prove it able to improve the sperm production, especially for the stressed animal. So in terms of translation, in human, it means that those people, if let's say you check on all those newspapers, perhaps you will know that depression or the stress of the work is one of the main factors leading towards the low fertilization. That's why a lot of like in vitro fertilization center is like sprouting, mushrooming around our country. And main reason actually stress. So the translational part is using the nature product that we actually came up with, you might able to overcome the problem. So that was our whole idea. So this is the same plant, which is actually working for more than 10 years. We have actually more than 15 or 20 publications in this area already. And it was proven to be true for the fertility activity. So pertaining towards this activity is just some chemical structure. So this is a limonoids family of compounds that, if let's say you're not too sure limonoids compound where normally can be found, just for information, your citrus fruit, which is your oranges and so on, those active ingredients can be found in those citrus fruit as well. So, but on the same time, same family of compound can be found in this plant, and they are deemed to be responsible for all functionality for this particular plant. Okay, not to scare you, just for information, we're able to track the zebrafish movement up and down towards the tank. So that is just to reflect that human behavior as well. You look at the control on the top of your left-hand side, that's like human. When we are not stressed, you mingle around, you walk here and there, you talk to people. When you are stressed, you tend to just stay aside, maybe stay at the home. So same to the animals, when we create the model, when it's stressed, it's just stay at the bottom of the tank, which is you look at that stress and half of the bottom of the tank only. Let me see whether I can put the red laser pointer. Yeah, okay. So this is a stress condition. And when we give the treatment, it went back to the normal condition, more or less similar with the control. So this is part of behavior study. We took out the brain. Yeah, so yeah, experiment needs satisfied. Yeah, to prove it, we can't really test on humans straight away unless it's proven to be safe. And this sperm that we gotten from the zebrafish, and we can do the imaging, and we took out the gonads, and we look at the changes inside there. So we gotten the patent for it, and those are publications that actually generate from this study. Okay, back to just I mentioned two parts. One is the model experimentation, another is subject study. So for this concept, subject study still remaining the same, but I changed the model experimentation. Next is we move our subject of study from the herbs towards the microbes. Why we move towards the microbes? The idea is very simple. If let's say we keep on harvesting the plant, it's a endpoint. So you harvest, you extract, finish. You need to get the new source material again. So during that time, our concept is very simple. Why? Or if we could get the bacteria to be ferment inside the bioreactor, like how we prepare the soya sauce, we keep on fermenting it, we keep on synthesizing the active components. It's a continuous sustainable supply, and it can be regulated as well because it's in vitro system. So that's how we switch our subject or study, look into the bacteria. And I got a very good researcher over here, the team. So Prof Lee and also Prof Chan, he's from UM, Prof Lee from Monash as well. So all of them are great researcher in the microbes area. So I'm so happy that I have this opportunity to work together. And we look at the streptomyces that from mangrove area. So why we chosen the streptomyces from mangrove area? Because if let's say those who understand the microbes very well, a shift of the small temperature, maybe 1 Celsius or what, it might kill the bacteria. But the fact is, mangrove area, very bright sun, tidal change, very morning, maybe the wave level is different, the water level is different, and during evening is different again, and the salinity keep on changing. It's a very harsh environment. So the idea is microbes that are able to survive in that area in a very harsh condition. Why they can survive? Maybe they synthesize something useful to make the compound. So that's how the whole idea is being conceptualized. We work on the bacteria from the mangrove area, but we're utilizing the more similar bioassay system that we developed in the lab. So back to just how I mentioned, we change subject of study. So this is how that we create the trend. We got a lot of papers actually published by looking at different model experimentation on different types of the bacteria. And that time actually we create the a trend during 2000, I think 16 during that time. And we also found the novel bacteria. No one else in this world had found. We were the first one, and we named it after Monash, which is yeah, appreciate them hosting us here. Yeah, and we study a mechanism, so integrate with the mechanism further, and publish it as well. Yeah, and we found another novel bacteria. We name it after Malaysia, so acknowledge our country as well. And this bacteria produced one of the 20 essential medicine listed by FDA. Yeah, and the student that PhD student during that time, she won the awards from the pharma industry from Taiwan. So when she being covered fully and flew to the Taiwan, she went there, flew to Taiwan, and I think given like 3,000 USD cash as well and awards, and she received the awards from the deputy president of the country, like our deputy prime minister of Malaysia, but they call the president, yeah, deputy president of Taiwan. So she received the award from during that time, and I think now she's a lecturer in Sunway University at this moment. Okay, this is just to showcase that we lead the trend during that time. We have a special issue by Frontiers in Microbiology, Frontiers Pharmacology, and we create the trend, and we got the different researchers that hosting together with us, even from the Warwick University, and actually a lot more, yeah. And highlighted in Star newspaper, see, Monash very old microbes, yeah. Okay, along the way, if let's say we talk about cancer, we do a screening for cancer as well. So different cancer cell lines, we do a screening. But from time to time, we found out the treatment of the active components on it, it will somehow form the resistance. The idea is just similar with those chemotherapy patients. So maybe to a certain extent, certain cancer cell is sensitive towards a chemo drug. They might be got killed by those chemo drugs. But some of them will form resistance. It means that didn't being killed off, then eventually they will grow further. And in our study, we also observe that kind of scenario. So we're just thinking that perhaps it's just a model experimentation. The compound that we add inside the media didn't interact very well with the that particular cancer cell. So we think that perhaps by improve the drug delivery, so it's just like you know about the Trojan horse, right? Yeah, the story of Trojan horse. So it means that you put the all the soldiers inside there, then enter into the city, then only come out and kill. So more or less similar concept. So what we're trying to do is like build the Trojan horse, or try to build a capsule for it. We keep the drugs inside there, then enter into the cell, then only rupture, open up, and kill the cell internally. So the idea is in that manner. So this is just to showcase that we work with the engineering team. So we create the magnetic stimulate release. So it means that we put the drug into the capsid, then when you reach the area, we stimulate with the magnetic field. Then only we rupture and release the active ingredient. So this is like more towards like precision delivery concept. So in order to get this concept to be proven, we were forced to develop a model, which is like we built a 3D tumor spiral experimentation. But because we have a limited resources, so we optimize our whole experiment based on what we have, and also the free software that allow us to do the prediction and calculation very well. And because the publication, even though this journal is still new, actually I'm the chief editor for this journal as well. So now it's actually trying to get Scopus cited at this moment. But for information, even we published the methods, we got a lot of citation for around the world, which actually appreciate our way of doing it because it's so cheap and so reliable and affordable for people to move on. So by integrating our techniques with different background of people, multidisciplinary, we're able to tap into the drug delivery area, which is, I wouldn't claim that 100% is my expertise, but we know that we need this expertise so that we can progress further. Okay, next to it, along the line, we got more researchers working together. We publish it for all those drug delivery areas. So we got a very bright researcher like Lo Liang Yi. So bright researcher, young, potential, and we have all those like the researcher working together in Monash and also at overseas as well. Yeah. And this is another interesting field. One part is improve the cancer treatment through delivery method. Another way, we thought that even though there are so many biomarkers to detect the cancer, when we mention biomarker, it means that when you go to the BP labs and so on, they say, we take your blood out, then we check for biomarkers. What are the biomarkers? This marker is higher, so it might predict that you're having certain cancer, high risk. They won't say that you're having cancer, high risk to be diagnosed with this cancer, then they will suggest you to do the next different kind of the screening and so on. Yeah, sorry, maybe I need to censor back the maybe BP labs or whatever thing. So that is not important. Important is like when you do the checking, then that's we call the biomarker. Just in case you don't understand when we mention biomarker. Yeah. So like for example, sometimes you do the blood test and so on. There are all those we call markers. But the fact is, when we come to the cancer biomarker, we thought that there's an emerging field we call extracellular vesicle, and this is a field that still robusting, growing. So our idea was trying to prove that EVs, extracellular vesicle, can become a more precise and better biomarker for cancer. Because most of the time when we do treatment, when we know there's a cancer resistant formation of the cell didn't being killed off by the treatment, and we just think that perhaps the marker that is one that we are using usually to check for might not give us the best indication. So that was the reason that we moved into this area. And this area, working together closely with Dr. Lee Wai-Ning, and we started since 2014. Then initially on the cell line based study, and we move on further. Later on, we'll come back to this topic a little bit more. And that's how I progressed. And that was initial stage of me for the career when with Monash. And when it comes to 2019 itself, that's the moment that I start to look into the translational and societal impact. I would say that it's a bit more towards translational of research findings. Yes, we good in check for different activities and so on, but perhaps we start to think, how are we going to translate it? How we actually make use of our outcomes? That's a stage that we start to pondering around and start to think along that line. So 2 points here that I'm trying to highlight is we need to think from a perspective of the accessibility of the platform. So during that time, we start to think, who actually I'm knowing, like for example, at this scenario, because of Prof. Sen and Prof. D, I'm here. Yeah, so this is what we call accessibility of the platform, knowing who actually you have approached with. And for this scenario, my scenario in terms of research, what are the industry's partners that around us that are going to support our research or support our translational part? And second question would be the ease of bridging. I put it in that manner, is ease of bridging. It means that it's not that high in terms of investment or in terms of what we need to do to fulfill maybe certain standard so that we can do the translation. But the fact is, maybe we surpass certain, what we are doing actually surpass the level of acceptability for the field, and it will make us easier to make it translate and being used by the industry. So that was the two things that we were putting much more of our thinking on. Okay, if let's say you look at what I just now covered, it's a bit cancer, maybe neuro and everything. If let's say you talk about that context, it is not trying to say that it's impossible in terms of translation. So I'm not too sure how much you know about drug discovery process from your discovery until it really become one drug in the market. How long it normally take? So if let's say you go through all those check for drug discovery, the whole process might be 10 to 20 years. Investment is skyrocketing value, and especially for the something which is like you need to use for cancer and the neuro, it needs to be well studied to a certain extent. It is not that impossible, but we need to move on along the line to get the fund to fund the project. So from my perspective, during that time was like, yes, we have a long-term goal. Is that something that we can reach out to a certain extent? We save a little bit of time, but we can showcase that we are able to do the translational part and we gain some income. Then those income can be used to fund our long-term project as well. So that was my thinking or idea during that time. So that's a reason why that I suggested to move to the cosmeceutical. So those who are actually pharmacist background or medical background, they would know cosmeceutical to a certain extent. The registration process would be far more, the threshold needed would be slightly lower compared to certain drug development process, but you can't deny it because it's scientifically proven. So the idea was emerged from that standpoint. We can come up with product in the shorter time period, and also we can come up with something that by harnessing or leveraging what are the resources available in our country, then build up the industry as well. So for your information, Malaysia is one of a mega diversified country. So mega diversified, it means that we have a lot of flora and fauna, and I think we are the number 7 of the 12. I can't really recall exactly because every year they change it. Last time was 1 in the 8. So 8 top mega diversified country, we are actually part of it. But now they have the different ranking. So, but it's okay. Malaysia is one of the mega diversified country. So we just think that whether we can use of our plant or any natural resources, we check for activity, and it can be used for cosmeceutical active ingredient. So that's how that my research moves to that area as well. And we developed the arm of the branch area for cosmeceutical. And these are some concept how we conduct the study. And this was done by my PhD student, and we finished the whole project, whole thesis being published, I think around 7 or 8 papers, good papers. Yeah. And we jump into the flow, or we will say that the trend, or yeah, in this area, so highlighted the moving towards the natural products as well. Yeah, and that's just a part of the findings. I wouldn't go through very thoroughly, but just for information, a lot of times that Malaysians or the Asian people will think that certain brand from Western country will be very much suitable for our Asian skins and so on. Yes, there are certain concepts that develop that Asian skins are slightly different and everything, and that's why it doesn't mean that the product suitable for Westerner will be suitable for us. I think some of them might heard it already, but I'm just trying to highlight further. From our study, actually, we gotten some of the information. Our skin, there's a circadian rhythm. So when I mention circadian rhythm, it's just like human. We control by our brain. When nighttime you feel sleepy, and daytime you just waking up from your sleep. So that is we call circadian rhythm. But all this while, people believe that circadian rhythm controlled by brain only. But for information, the latest research and study showcase that our skin actually has its own circadian rhythm, which is slightly different compared to what actually controlled by brain. Brain control our wake up and sleeping cycle, wake and sleep cycle, but the skin circadian rhythm will control the skin itself, which is like will relate towards the how radiant your skin would be and how well your skin would be. So from our understanding or study of the product itself, we know that each of how to extract different fractions, everything, and it can came up with different series and meant for day and night. Yeah, that's something, the concept that we came up with. And we also publish it as well. This is just sometime years ago, we came up with a prototype as well. Then we won the awards, one single prototype, we won 2 awards, and this is a different prototypes or products that we came out and registered long time ago. So we give it a trial in the market previously with the clinicians. And diverse up, we got a good research. But when we look into context, just now when we talk about stratomyces, we work on cancer and everything. Yeah, how far we can prove it to be useful for human is still a long way to go. If let's say we want to make it useful for human. So from our understanding, bacteria, that's a probiotic. You might be hearing probiotics and prebiotics. I guess I just put it in a very simple way. What we diversify our way of doing project, we're trying to create yogurt for the fish, yogurt for the prawns. So that's how our idea diverse, because we know how the system being altered to a certain extent. Human, animals, mechanistically, biologically, they are more or less similar. So we were thinking that since our microbes derive from the mangrove area, and we know that from science, those animals, when they at the young stage, they're being hatched out from the mangrove area. And that's the time that they uptake certain bacteria that eventually they survive better. Compared to the artificial pond that we create to do the farming, animal tends to have disease. But compared to those at the natural state, they treat better. So that's the reason that we just think that why not we introduce these stratomyces, the yogurt for them at their young age, then they will live better. So the whole idea is very simple. Then we came up with this publication, and we worked with the companies around Malaysia. And actually, our publication also draw attention and being invited to China, one of the top 500 companies in China. And we're being invited to share our comments and everything and the concept as well. And this is the publication that just now I showcased. And out of nowhere, I received the email from this professor from Indiana University, emeritus professor. So when he sent me was 2016, but he passed away in 2019. So I don't know who he was during that time. We published a paper out of nowhere. This is the email he sent to me. So express my enthusiasm for your good paper. Your work demonstrate maturity, understanding in field, create an immediate impact, stimulate further discovery and usefulness of civilization. Yeah. So the message that I'm trying to deliver here is not showcasing how well I've done, but just to indicate over here or to mention over here, continue to do that you think you could and you think supposed to be. Someone outside there, you don't know who they are, they might appreciate your work one day. So that's just a message I'm trying to share. And we work further. This was the ITEX 2022. Yeah, we came up with the prototypes, and we won the gold definitely, and also we won the one of the best 500 invention in ITEX 2022. And we filed a patent, then we celebrate with our team. Yeah, so definitely the project needs a lot of input from different experts in the area. So I wouldn't claim that the whole thing belongs to me, but it's a really a good group effort, including from the industry. And just to mention a little bit as well. So I'm not too sure you heard about GK Aqua. So is the one that actually rallying the prawn, the freshwater prawn, or sometimes we just talk about that freshwater lobster. Yeah, and it's a company that actually working in this area, and because of the knowing them they actually putting a priorities or they are looking at the science very well, and we work with them. So they support our project for just now the ITEX together, and we won the award. So this is what I'm saying, that the ease of the bridging, and because they do need that kind of things, and they are seeking for expertise or perhaps input to improve the field, and this is how we work together. And this company, I think just a few days back, they received the CRIM approval. I think the first company in Malaysia to certify that particular prawn, if let's say it's being imported to Malaysia, whether that species is correct or not. So, and for information, this is the 2022 Anugerah Penaju Aquaculture. So it's just saying that the best aquaculture company in Malaysia. So this was the video that showcased being played during the time he received the awards from the during that time the Prime Minister of Malaysia. So the best aquaculture company, and you look at that the video where I'm sitting next to, yeah. So I'm not the owner of company, but I'm happy to be part of it when people really look into the science and are able to contribute from my angle as well. Yeah. And this is the company that we mentioned, top 500 companies in China. They invest in Malaysia, and I was part of the team during that time. We went together to the China, and they developed so well in Malaysia now. So for information, they produce 100 tons of feed per day, and the whole setting, huge company, including the security guard, only 40 staff. High management, marketing, everything, including security, 40 staff, all run by automation. Yeah, so we look into context that perhaps we can work together or not. That's the only part of look into context, because the skill of production is too high, and we are still looking at it, how we able to work together. Yeah. Okay, moving forward, if let's say you talk about pharmacist background, how are we going to apply our concept in plants? And if let's say you talk about pharmacist or the biochemist, biochemist is still okay, but I'm based in School of Pharmacy. Then when we talk about want to work on plants, grow, to have the more plants to be produced, having the more fertile plants or better fruiting, I think it's quite tough for me to justify that why I'm doing so in School of Pharmacy. Yes, I know that we can find the ways, because we know that it's going to be useful. And we found the people who actually share our aim as well. So we work together with Shanghai Jiaotong, one of our top 3, I think top 3 universities in China as well. So we work together for the plants study as well. So we use the microbes and for the plant study. And those are the outputs. And we also work with some of researchers in Monash, which is from the engineering school as well. And this is what I'm trying to showcase. Even though we can't do it in School of Pharmacy, but the concept is there, it's correct. And we know that certain active ingredient you can incorporate into the plant fertilizer, or perhaps even using it for the germination process, you can improve the germination percentage. So we work with school engineering. So definitely I can't be the main. So we got the expert from the engineering school. Then this is a student that we started with, I think the 2020, but when we joined the chemical engineering conference, so 2021. So one student won 2 awards. Yeah, I think, yeah. So 1 awards here, another here. So it's just to showcase that we know what we are doing. Science is single piece of fabric. You know what you are doing. You search for people who share the same interest, and we are able to deliver something great together. And not just about this, another student, yeah, 2022. So we work on the ultrasound, yeah, ultrasonification, and we include the certain active ingredient actually prolongs the shelf life of the fruit preservation process. So you see, we won the award again, and not about that. We integrate as well the active ingredients into the cookie dough. Then we work with some IT guys as well, very smart guys. So it helped us to crack into the software of, we bought the 2D printer actually. So we create a dough of the cookies. We put active ingredient inside there from the fruiting, put inside there. Then we bought the 2D printer with the guy from IT helped us to crack. Then we make it into the 2 plus half D. I would say that it's not really 3D, but 2 plus half D of the machine. Then we can do the printing. It's just a conceptualization, which is we just explore. We like to explore. Then eventually the project also won us the award as well. Yeah. Okay. This is a guy that Dr. Patrick that I'm working closely with from School of Engineering. So we work on the outdoor drug delivery, we work on the printing, we work on the plants. And for information, the plants project we done it during the COVID moment, and students plant it at home, and we coordination throughout all from home during that time. But progress to the next level, especially for this year, our plantation project done in Kedah stage. So one of our students actually, they are doing a plantation at home. So they allocate a site for them to conduct the project as well. Yeah. And this is research area as well, just in case. So control drug delivery. We work on the self-healing rubber glove as well. So the first in this work, and we published a paper together, I think last year. And that's why we have the project actually correlate with the glove as well at this moment. So we're working together. We have a PhD student who actually together we are supervising for the glove project. And just in case you're interested, you can contact him. Yeah. And next is more towards the product development. What we have came up with, that is just to showcase some of products that I was involved years back. Yeah. And sometimes, time to time, people trying to get some ideas from me. So I'm still finding a way how actually I really gain a lot from there or gaining something from there. Because sometimes I'm good in giving the ideas, but I'm not too sure. I'm maybe not as smart as the rest of researcher getting something throughout the consultation. So maybe Prof. Sam or Prof. D might able to enlighten me further for this aspect. Yeah. So we came up with the products. Some of them is like good for control your weight, and some of them is actually good for the circulation of skins. And we came up with a symbiotics as well. So symbiotic is a combination of the probiotic and prebiotics. Yeah. So it's just to showcase that we have the knowledge and idea how we actually can make use and for the goodness of the society. That is something that I'm trying to share. Way forward. So this is just to showcase that what next from me, yeah, personally. So just as I mentioned, we work on some project pertaining to the glove, just to look into context that Malaysia is one of the, I think it's still number one, the glove producer. So just in case we can find certain niche area with our expertise to be integrated, then it would be something great. And we know that we're having the great competition from a few countries. I think I know you name it, especially you all from engineering might be aware of. If let's say we can contribute from our expertise to improve certain innovation in the area, perhaps we can preserve the number one producer of glove in Malaysia. So that's something that just thinking that maybe with my small little expertise, I'm able to do something together with engineering people to come up with some innovations as well. Yeah. Over here is just some of the insect project that we actually working on. So partially it's just to mention that if let's say you look into the context of the insect, they're able to, it's a good source of protein. Definitely, I'm not asking you to eat this as a food, even though it can be eaten. But our study at this moment, we're interested with some other activities. So we look for bioactive ingredients from this source of insect. Just in case we can find something useful, then we can value add the whole process of the production. Because or else the whole process of production, you came up with just a protein, actually value is not that high. But if let's say we're able to find some active ingredient from there, we can extract that ingredient, but the peptide or amino acid will be still the raw material. Then, but the value that you've gotten from the similar process will be improved a lot. Okay, this is just more towards the science, very fundamental in my field, but I wouldn't mention much. It's just that the process of idea, how we able to identify the active ingredients inside a mixture when it's being administrated into animals or human. So we can do the reverse engineering with this method. People are able to do a reverse engineering to identify what are the mixtures of the active ingredient that give rise to the activity. Because if let's say you talk about context of the nature product or the extract that we know it, because there's a lot of compounds or chemicals inside there. But compared to Western medicine like paracetamol or your Panadol, there's only single active ingredient. But sometimes why the traditional medicine seems to be very effective, but when we want to study about it, it's so complex because it's not the single compound chemicals that give us the activity. It's a multiple chemicals working together to give us the effect we are observing. So that is just a showcase that how we conceptualize and proven there's a way or method to look at the different mixtures of the active ingredient in the single run. So that was that is something that we proven can be done in this method. Yeah. So working together with Zhejiang University for that project. And this is a project that we are working on as well. So pertaining to the biomarkers, as I mentioned, the extracellular vesicle, and it's supported by European Horizon Grant. And it's a huge project. At this moment, 8 countries are involved in this project. And to associate with it, so credits need to give to Dr. Wai Ling, even though both of us are leading the project. And partially the idea and pushing the whole project further was she was one who initiated, and I helped her to complement and move forward, and together with supervised students and the project securing funds together. And we also gotten the MOA signed with Sunway Medical Center, TCM Center. And those are just to showcase that if let's say you look at the context of drug discovery process, and if let's say you heard about preclinical, clinical, and eventually commercialization, and my training was more towards preclinical, but how we actually lead through the process, including the clinical, we work with different people from different backgrounds. And expertise-wise, I would say that we need different experts from different areas. And just in case one day we hit certain jackpot, I know who to look for to make sure that our things can be moved to the market at the end of the day. And that's more towards what I'm sharing about myself. And this is just to credits to Roy. Just before start of the my presentation, I did mention that I'm going to put some of the slides, which is, I think, going to be very much beneficial from my perspective. And he's a Fulbright scholar. It's going to quite beneficial. He's a lot of time institution, we know that when we're trying to push something towards the commercialization or perhaps to the next level, we know that there's some gap that we're trying to fill in, or we call it trying to bridge it. But the talk that I attended 3 days back, conducted by him, delivered by him, actually he able to name it up, spell it out. So that's why I spoke with him. I'm going to share and definitely will acknowledge those ideas came from him. And I'm not too sure how much you're able to grab it, but from my perspective is majority of the time, an institution or company, they might overlook this kind of the points, which is I deem and Roy deem are very important, very much important. And who is him? Fulbright scholar, if let's say you do understand, is an organization that will fund those really bright, yeah, know how we put it, really bright, and they are very intelligent and very smart, that they go to certain organization, then they look at how the things being done, and they found and give some consultant or the feedbacks as well. So he's an innovation architect, and he create, this is what you can find on his profile on the LinkedIn, and look at that. It's not easy from someone not the real background as a pharmacist or what, but he's able to look at how to flame out the things to make sure that the institution able to get it done with different accelerator programs and so on. So that is how, from my perspective, is fantastic. Yeah. Okay. He summarized it. So I just pick up a few of the slides that he summarized it when he's in Australia. So you know that Monash Pharmacy will rank number 1 or number 2. So flip-flop over there. And we still having people from different backgrounds. We listen to different people from different backgrounds. And when they look into the context they share and how we actually able to learn from them. And this is what came up from Roy after he spent some time there talking to the administrative people, management, talking to the Victorian governments and so on. He came up with those are the key points, which is like a lot of time Australians think that Australia is not as US. Okay, this is something that imprint in the mental stage. But from his strategy, he mentioned, majority of the time they found out those are the gap of knowledge or gap of the bridging between the manufacturing and also the real capital investment. So when we disconnected capital investment for the drug discovery, it means that they sometimes can't really get the big source of money, but you spend more time in manufacturing at Australia to a certain extent. So more strategy. We say that hitting above weight class, or it's just like punching above the weight class, but more opportunity. So it means that we need to think in the context that, like, for example, you talk about the boxing, like below 45 kg or 50 kg, I'm not too sure. So you have a different category. So if let's say you fall in the manufacturing, it means that maybe the lower weight, so you're always fighting over there. So just trying to say that even we are fighting there, actually, maybe we could be fighting on the above the weight class as well. With what we have been trained thus far and what capacity we have, we should go and try the class above, not just restricting towards the lower class. So this is what he trying to address in the very nicer way. Yeah, in a nice way. And in terms of how we do punch above the weight class, he mentioned that look into the diversity in Australia. And the context is so similar in Malaysia context as well. We have a diversified populations and everything. So even Australia recognized that Asian is an opportunity, because in Australia, those who have been there, they would know a lot of Asians over there. They will recognize the Asians are the opportunities, but they are unsure how to engage. Yeah. And First Nation focus is just the strategies that the Canadian people, the unique tribes, that how they actually able to embrace their own cultures and everything towards the society compared to the rest of the tribes. So it's okay if let's say you're not getting this very much. It's just that we just try to build our identity, but on the same time we respect the rest as well, in short. And in Australia, if let's say you're aware, yes, there's a lot of women entrepreneurs and leadership compared to the rest of the world. So it's just trying to say that we need to identify our strength and search for the opportunities. Yes, you might be thinking that that is just the cliche and it's a normal sentences and everything. But the fact is, when he summarized this, how we actually unlock the innovations and in the diverse community. That's how we know that it's a diverse, same with context in Malaysia. So he put into 5 points, quite simple. So first point is assume potential. Second point, understand the power of enclaves. So enclaves means that certain tribes or certain group of people. Yeah. So maybe I just put it in the more layman term. Perhaps a university, a group of people are so good in doing certain things, which is like can be tapped into and become the one of the main outcome to represent the university or represent the company. Yeah, those techniques are so unique, and it's just you have the potential, assume potential. You have all those good people in, and they came up with something nice thing, and we need to know how to enable the ownership. Yes, those people, good people, come up with the great things. We need to know how to give them the ownership, being part of these findings, even we're able to commercialize it. And the next one is identify the problem, expertise, that skill. Yes, even though you have these things, all those 3 factors in place, we need to know whether those expertise or those outcome of products really able to be scaled up. Yeah, so that we can create a better impact. And perhaps another part is like leapfrog of the infrastructure. So this is just to showcase that just in case the institution or company has certain things which is developed and out of nowhere, doesn't mean that out of nowhere, definitely came up with someone who's very smart, the innovative mind, and the idea is so novel, which is might able to solve a lot of problems in this world, and need to really tap into it in the nice way. Yeah. So he did mention these 5 points, and he gives some of the good examples. So assume potential, he just gave the idea, Ming, yeah. Actually, he was born in Malaysia, yeah, I think 9 years back. So I think during the 1853, he moved to Melbourne, and he's if let's say you check the history of him, he's the one that contributed a lot in Melbourne. During that time, a lot of people, Chinese, went there to do the mining. And he's the ones that went there, that not just about mining, he looked at the opportunity, he diverse out his business line. And even he started the Commercial Bank of Australia, the first, I think the first bank in Australia during that time. And eventually merged with the Bank of New South Wales and is today called Westpac. Yeah. So consider the first company of bank and is being serving longest serving bank in Australia as well. So actually started by a Chinese. Yeah. And but still there's some controversial. During that time, he's actually fight for a lot of Chinese over there, even though the Chinese created the good economies and everything. So anyhow, they assume him and recognize him as the someone which is prominent and really contribute to the growth of the city itself. And another is a Shimara. Yeah. Okay. She is the she's the highest paid CEO in Australia at this moment. And top 20 companies, I think the top 20 companies in Australia. And she's if let's say you look at the payment, they say in 2021, the payment of salary she received, only 2.7% is her salary. The rest 97%, those are all from the performance in terms of share, bonuses, and so on. Yeah, so the salary, I think, is like 30.4 million Aussie dollar her yearly salary. Yeah, so what context they're trying to showcase here for the Australian context? They know that Asian are good, but how we actually able to work together? And she was from she is from Sri Lanka, and so both of them Asian. So they're trying to showcase that we know we need to be able to identify those potential, and we need to find a way, make sure that we can leverage or mutually gain together throughout the process. So it came to the so-called ownership. Yeah, ownership. That's an aspect that they're trying to embrace or find a better policy to bridge it. And this is just an enclave. Just now 5 points. Enclaves is another one. It's just to showcase again the Chinese actually immigrants went to Australia for the gold mining, and they brought out all those skill sets. It's called padlocking. It's just a process that how we can screen through all those like the soil or the ground soil that actually we pick up, and we screen for the gold. So it is just the techniques that far more efficient in terms of getting the gold from the soil compared to techniques actually brought out by the Western, brought in by the Westerner. So there's a time that actually Chinese eventually caused a boom in terms of the gold mining process and economy of the Australia. During that time, I think like 40,000 Chinese immigrants during the 80s, 50s. Yeah, so they went there, and that's the things that what he was trying to highlight was, if let's say we're able to identify certain group of people having certain skill sets, which is so much useful, rather than we causing the problem on them, why not we find a way how we work together? Yeah. So if let's say you look at the history during that time, actually a lot of them being sabotaged and some of them being bullied and so on. And I'm not saying that that is the point I'm trying to raise. The point is, if let's say we are able to identify those people and those skill sets you deem is very valuable, rather than suppressing them, find a way how we can work together to move on further, rather than feel being challenged, or perhaps you think that they might be overtake us or whatever thing, just doing in the way that trying to suppress people growth. Yeah. Because blowing off someone candles actually is not the best way to showcase you are much more better. Perhaps I would put it in the layman term. Okay, enable ownership. I remove what he shared, but I relate towards what are the context or example that could be found in Malaysia. This is the company actually started up by one academician from UTHM. So I found out because I was the invited speaker last week in Putrajaya, so she presented as well. So she worked on the cosmetic, and she's from UTHM, And this is just a strategy that how UTM came up with the policies that able to enable the ownership for the great researcher that it came out with a great product and actually gone into the market. So they have their stockists and everything. Yes, there's a certain percentage of distribution in terms of earning and everything. So, but the fact is, if let's say we have this policy in place, then we will be able to make sure that the innovation, those people who came up with their great idea, they will feel more secure and they will feel more motivated to do more. Yeah. And this is just to show further expertise, that skill or culture, global distribution. It just gives us another perspective. Is there any specific thing which is we can think of in terms of cultural? We create the culture. For example, this is just to show that the taco, and you know that it's not origin from the Australia, so it came from Mexico and California, and they brought into the Australia during that time. So it's create the culture that whenever people talk about taco, they think about this taco bill. Okay, and living cocoa as well, actually brought in by I think the Samoan tribes that they from the island they brought in. Then they created the brand, and the culture started in Australia. And that's why you go to Australia and you will say that, oh, you want to get some chocolate, right? But actually, initially, those chocolate culture is not started in Australia. So brought up by another people who into the Australia. So, and now this company is expanding further and working with a different cosmeceutical and nutraceutical company. It's just that become part of the culture in Australia as well. And this just will show that hijab, and in the company is called YAZ, Y-A-Z design. So the idea when they came up with the hijab, which is designed in this manner, actually when she observed, not mistaken, so observed her daughter when wearing a jumper for the sport, and you have a very plain hijab, actually you've got somehow discriminated, or perhaps people would be say that it's not matching so well. And in terms of how to assimilate into a culture in a nicer way, so they came up with a design which is in this manner and fitting, somehow is matching so well, and eventually create the boom of culture. Everyone are wearing it, and especially those who are actually doing the sport. And now it's actually expanding further for those actually unfortunate that underwent the chemotherapies, and they also wear this as a part of the daily routine as well. So it's just to showcase that if let's say we can identify certain things that can become part of the culture, it would be something a great opportunity as well. And leapfrog infrastructure. I'm not too sure how many of you know about the Black Panther. Yeah, I'm not too sure, but I know that quite numbers of people are the fans for this Marvel hero. And this is also, we know that it's a fictional, but here just to showcase that sometimes there are certain group of people. For this scenario, if let's say you watch the movie, and I didn't watch all, but I know that actually they have the access towards the certain energy source. Because of that access, which is so unique to them, they're able to develop the technology to harness the energy and develop different kinds of the technologies. It's so much unique and far more advanced towards compared to the rest of the world. And this is just to mention that just in case your organization, your institution, or yourself able to come up with something is great, then you need to find a way to bring it to the next level. But you need to be sure that the policy in place, everything will be complementing towards the process. And but there's some point that I think Roy trying to raise. When we recognize someone is progressing well, it's not like creating a barrier against them. And I think we should be finding the mutual way to work together, okay, to leverage on or mutually gain something from, and so that everyone, we are part of this universe and part of this society, will gain something for and good for our life. Yeah. And back to this slide. So just to highlight 5 points of 10, and thanks to the Fulbright scholar, I gained a lot of things as well. I'm not too sure whether I'm able to deliver as well as what he has mentioned, but take note, those are the quite important points. And I guess as the management or perhaps even part of a company in future, your future career, those are the points that you can revisit and find the ways how to improve. Or perhaps you are the one who going to be the owner of a company, yeah, and you may make the change to this world. Okay, with this, I leave it with this statement that I always put here. So harnessing wisdom and knowledge, enriching the lives of others. You can reach me through email, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Go. Thank you, Go, for a nice sharing. Very inspiring. Inspiring the young engineer also researcher to step out from the comfort zone. Right, comfort zone. I think this is the challenge I heard before. How actually people step out from the comfort zone and explore into other opportunity. But this is sometimes when you are in a comfort zone, right? It's very difficult to step out. Right? But I think I think the student have heard something, right? They heard something. Dr. Sham, Prof. Sam, you have anything to share, or you want to ask Dr. Go any question, or you want to provoke Dr. Go? Promotion. Provoke. We use the word
Our
provoke
AP
means
Dr. Go doesn't need to be promoted because he got a lot of fans already. A lot of friends at INITI, a lot of friends internationally. Yeah, internationally.
No.
And then we can be
just
the agent, you know. Can be the agent of AP Dr. Go for him to have a speech all over the world. We arrange. So I met Dr. Go last year, if I'm not mistaken, right? So to me, a very outstanding scientist to me, outstanding scientist. And then when I met him, and I immediately have an idea that, you know, the researcher, as a researcher, we should marching towards this direction. And then Dr. Go has a passion, in um, commercialization, research and development. This is very similar to what I'm going what I plan to do, and so as what AP Dr. T, you know, have in mind for the past many years. Okay, so that's why we have the same direction. It's just that there is always a gap, you know, always a big gap, you know, between commercialization, business, and also academic. This is inevitably we have to admit that there is a great gaps between business and academic. Okay, that's why I'm also in this kind of difficulties. All right. So, and what I think that I'm going to do next, as well as our team would like to do next, is for the next few years is my time to go for commercialization, okay, and then together with scientists and with their invention. So meaning that after I came back from China, I will go to Dr. T as well as Dr. Go, and we will discuss commercialization. And at that moment of time, I wish I could start a project. Just for your information, Dr. Go has a fantastic products which is ready for commercialization. Not only one, I believe so, with all the packaging and things like that ready for commercialization. So what I want to do and what I'm planning to do is to start one product together with Dr. Go, all right, and via for example, Cradle, you know, Cradle, this is one, our government agencies, okay, Cradle, and we have Cradle funds. And then just to share with the students, you may search this Cradle. They have funding for startups, okay, they have money for the new startups, new young entrepreneur, okay, to start their business. However, it requires the products to be ready for commercialization. Okay, and also we have some crowdfunding. in Malaysia, we can raise our funding and capital via the platform, online platform, and this is one of the platform we call My Starter, and the boss is my friend Mr. Go. So I would like to start the projects by commercializing our existing products from academic, and later find a platform, okay, cloud fundings, okay, as well as cloud fundings or Cradle, and to start to commercialize the products. And then this entire journey and this entire process, and then we can share with the students. Okay, I think this is also a very fantastic topics to share with students later. All right, together with the Dr. Go and as well as Dr. T. Okay, so I'm looking forward to. All right, thank you.
I think
Okay,
just to
thank you.
answer, thanks, Prof. Sam. I think this answers our question. I think Prof. T put in, right? Could you elaborate a multidisciplinary consideration in your research? How you evaluate this? Okay, I think to answer this question, it would be, first of all, look at my background. I'm just a biochemist, and in terms of how I actually consider which area I need to tap into, it really depends on my project needs. And in terms of my project needs, then we need to know who are the one that might able to share our liberation or our aim. Right? For context of the plant, so happen that we have someone from chemical engineering that also look into that context. Then that is how that we merge our idea with their expertise. Then we move on further. And at the end of the day, I would just still say that yes, science is diverse, but we need to know that even we learn every single thing, we only have one pair of hands, one brain, and 24 hours. So we need to mutually find someone, leverage on others' expertise to achieve something. But the point is how to make sure that people gain something throughout the process as well, rather than so-called exploiting people to do the things and you gain all this credit. I guess that that is a very much important thing, because in terms of some statement that I read before, if let's say you want someone come and help you, then you're going to waste somebody time. But someone who come together, share mission, achieve things together, then this is how we mutually moving to the next stage.
Yeah, you're right.
So could you share there is a bigger picture on the hierarchy on your research and the industry? It means that which area I will putting more priority or the weightage on?
I mean, do you have any idea on the greater, bigger maps on your expectation based on your expertise, right? So, in beforehand, do you have any picture about this? Something like you have a map to go to, right? But I wonder if you have a map to go to, say you are going to New York or going to Pulau Pinang, right? But before that, you already have some homework. You got some picture about this thing. Do you have this kind of map before you set off your career path?
Okay, I guess it's a very good question to bring up. Okay, I used to have a lot of sharing with the students as well. To a certain extent, people will always say that we need to have a good plan, big plan, 5 years, 3 years, 10 years plan. Okay, my personal view is we need to know that where we want to head to. But in terms of how we reach towards the destination, I don't think we can really identify a very specific path for us. Yes, like the project, you can have a path, this is what you want to do, but end of the day, actually, it's not progressing as what you thought of most of the time, unless you are really, really lucky and you are somehow is blessed by the God. So from my perspective, is always we can have some idea, endpoint, this is what we're trying to reach for. But let move on with something that you think you could do first. and it will somehow drive you towards the end. And I always believe that sometimes, because the world has been evolving so fast compared to our parents or great-great-grandparents' time, I was still thinking that by having a lot of too much of detailed planning might not be really relevant. As the time progresses, your plan actually unable to move along with the time. Actually, your plan will be always like outdated. But we just need to know that what we're trying to achieve for at the end of the day, but work on what actually came to us. And I believe that there's a ups and downs in our path or our journey.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
believe in your faith and believe it. Up and downs, there's a reason behind.
Yeah,
Even you face the downs, there's a reason behind, and you gain a lot of things from that process. And that going to be your courage and your wisdom or your knowledge in how you move to the next path. I'm not saying that I'm doing very well, but that is just to share that what I've gone through. And when I reflect towards the career more than 10 years, yeah, comparative, I'm still young when it comes to this context. But I'm just trying to highlight that it's really in that manner, which is the same little statements that we always heard. And when I was starting my career, I sometimes think that people just talk for fun, all those statements. But when I've gone through, I reflect back, actually, it's the same thing as what people say. And you experience it in the deeper way, you know the meaning in the much more better way. And
yeah.
that I can share.
Yeah, youngster cannot get into the message, right? When we talk to
Yeah.
even my
But-
daughter, we share a lot with my daughter.
Yeah.
She simply can't get into the message.
Yeah. But I always tell the student that I won't treat myself as a teacher or educator. I would say that I'm learning along with you, or I'm part of
Yes.
your
Yeah.
partners as well. What I share today might not make sense to you by now or by today, but you can put at the behind of your brain or certain compartments in your brain. But one day you bring it out, you will inspire that actually I know about this and it makes sense. And your level of enlightenment would be somehow surpassed to the certain level. What I'm saying that those statements, you can ignore it, but you keep it somewhere. It's just like a seed.
Yeah.
You put it somewhere. You don't throw it away. You just put it somewhere. One day it might sprout.
Okay, it's very nice advice. Very nice, right? It's something like the old man saying, but sometimes it keep in our mind. One day, right, you remind that, right? But something I would like to ask. This is the question I pose as well. So you have done beyond your horizon, right? Beyond horizon means rather than deep further into your pharmacies and chemists, right? But you have tried to diversify into many applications, which is not really your first principle. Yes, but what is actually in your thought that you think that you want to step into diversification?
Okay. If let's say you talk about my field of research, if let's say you talk about just a nature product and in the functionalities, actually it can be achieved to the certain extent. Just to be truthful, if let's say we found something useful, proven to be useful, actually we can just came up with a product, the so-called nutraceutical.
Yeah.
Then people will say that, hey, I'm successful, right?
Yeah.
So the fact is, when even before I really kickstart my academic career, I really came up with a product. So is that deemed that I'm successful? No. Understand or not? So in terms of, I'm just thinking that with the skill sets that we have, whether I can contribute to the rest of the field to grow further or not. Yeah.
Yes,
So-
yes. I would like to highlight the things, right? Probably the student or maybe some researcher might listen to the same. But you know, when somebody's doing in sort of domain, right? It's very specific domain. It could be a phobia. It could be a phobia or maybe very
To move
takut,
out
right?
from that.
To move out of something very new or maybe trying to learn something or new challenge, or you can say new challenge. You can say this is it's not in my area. You can say that is a lot of resistance, right? But what make in your mind that your advice that move into more new things, right? Because you're young, you can challenge, or maybe you have more consideration. Probably this is a good advice to our listener. A lot of young engineer future to be an engineer, right?
I think majority of time when people so-called expert in in a specific area, actually they're afraid of two things. From my perspective, my standpoint, I might be wrong. First thing is they're afraid of people will step into their territory. Second thing is they're afraid to move out of the territory. Yeah. So I wouldn't comment much, but there's some joke that always people having when people are being in the field to the certain extent and they spend long enough time. Like for example, we build those management people. I'm not saying the university, I'm saying the big company. So when they reach a certain level, they go and play golf, right? Yeah, play golf, right? So why they actually go into golf so much? They like golf so much. We used to joke around because they are looking for something they might have lost.
Yeah, you're right.
The
Okay.
balls.
But
Yeah.
something interesting, right?
But
Beside the
having
personal drive that you want to try into other domain, right? But
Mm,
you have mentioned something interesting about this enclaves, right? That
yeah.
is some other specific domain, right? And why others people let you in, something like this, right? You are
Yeah.
stepping into others people enclaves, right? Enclave, power enclave, right? So something interesting. So you langgar into others people's research. Do you think that is a mind distortions to you, or maybe doesn't matter at all? You want to just step into others people because no people doing this, or you don't mind having others people head you.
No. I put it in this manner. I answer
Yeah.
in the two ways.
Yeah,
As because
please.
of my background
Yeah.
is biochemistry.
Yeah.
So in terms of biochemistry, anything living organism, human, plants, microbes, everything, biochemistry is a fundamental for everything. So in terms of that kind of the interpretation, there is no so-called restricted in terms of the territory.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
get the picture.
Okay.
I get the picture
Yeah.
actually.
Okay. Second question is, I wouldn't say that I langgar into people territories. Maybe I just put it in that manner. I've been invited to be the territory,
Okay.
part of the territory. And in terms of majority of time, is when people approach somebody, it might not be because of just expertise, but it could be the way how you think, how you manage the things, and how you perceive the things. Which is sometimes when people, for example, why a company, they have a consultant, like just now, the Roy, he is not an academician. You understand or not? So why we need someone which is might not be in the field to be part of the field, because they're able to share the perspective which is sometimes we tends to overlook. So that's the reason that I personally I like to venture into different labs, look at how people do things, but provided people allow me to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, one last question about me.
Sure.
Probably I post a number of them, but probably time's due. I post one last questions. So what do you think, right? Because you try to step out from your very experts, right, into more application, but partially of your skill will be applicable, right, to other application. But what do you think about the ecosystem, right, in Malaysia, right? That the researcher is willing to step into commercialization and being provoked into diving. Is Malaysia and the government, probably the IPTS or IPTA or any research, or maybe the community is ready to step into this commercialization? And I believe many researchers having a lot of knowledge, lab skill, right? Lab skill, I would say lab skill, right? And how this could be step into being provoked into commercialization? Is it ready in the ecosystem in Malaysia?
Well, if let's say you ask me whether the ecosystem is ready for it to accept, I would just view it, we can't wait for ecosystem to be ready rather than we the one who do it. And maybe we are the one who might lead towards the ecosystem to be complete at the end of the day. But if the one, maybe I just put it in this way. We know about the story about the Grab, right? It started in Malaysia, then ended up in Singapore. So during that time, actually, the policies in place is not really ready and everything. But the fact is, it doesn't mean that you need to wait until ecosystem to be ready or did we do something. But we know that we want to do, we do in the way that we supposed to be. And back to the context of the university, I think everyone are aware with the 1010, the ASN came up with the 1010 mistake, that kind of the connection. So trying to bridge the gap between the institution researcher and also researcher from the industry. I guess is to the certain extent, it is a good thing. At least now in the black and white, we acknowledge that is the gap. But I think that is good initiative. But in terms of how as a researcher or how as an academician or how would be as an engineer or as a pharmacist or biologist in future, I guess at the end of the day is the world is really not as what we will think of. It will remain the same in the next 10 years, which is, I just quote somebody statement, which is, he was the PVC of the university, retired already. He used to, during the meeting, he mentioned, you don't get surprised. Even in one day, the next 10 years or 20 years, there's no more university, or the university that we used to understand is not operate in this manner anymore. So he just say that just to let us know, we need to build not just about current, but we need to get ready for future as well. So in terms of move towards the commercialization or maybe the products or whatever thing, I guess it's just the way how we train our mental set. And it's always tough at the beginning. Like years back when we talk about publication in Malaysia context, when you say you want to publish in tier 1, it's so tough. Everyone just say can't do it. But nowadays, you check on the publication that every year Malaysia produce. It's ranked on the top of the world. So there's no so-called real difficult things. It's just that how we going to overcome the barrier. Yeah. So that's my perspective. I might be wrong, and what I say didn't represent any parties. It's just my personal view. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Goh. Any question from the participant? Any questions? I think one question from the student, right? International student, Mahdi Muhammad. He mentioned about the challenge in the industrial gap with development and translational of biofunctional molecules. So, okay, yeah.
It depends on which country. Each of the countries, they do have their own government bodies. Like, for example, in Malaysia context is MPRA. Then in Thailand, they have a different organization, agency that control it. In Australia as well. But that is the part that we need to look into context and how you develop your products, and also whether it will fit into the culture of that population or not. For example, you be able to develop the good things. For example, it's a skin whitening product, and you know that it's going to be good if, let's say, it's being used in Asian country, right? So Asian like to be white, right? Are you going to have this product and sell to the Westerner? Westerner want to get tanned by the sun. They come to Asia to get sunshine, and you are selling your Western, the whitening product over there. Yeah, so I guess that to the end of the day, we need to understand our culture needs and also the regulation. Then we plan our product and tackle the market accordingly. I wouldn't say that I'm really doing so, but this on the conceptual manner when we have a communication with the industry people.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I don't think any question posed by the students so far. I know our cultures in Malaysia, right? Probably in Asia as well, right? Very silent response from the students, right? Even me as well in the meeting. Consider a culture.
You can reach me through LinkedIn or emails.
Yeah.
Fine.
Thank
So
you very much.
anyway,
Thank you. I know you now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Gold, right?
Yeah.
So we heard story sharing, story sharing, and then the experience sharing and a number of inspiring sharing about the attitude and open-minded about going towards the challenge and face the challenge in future. But I think that is the most important, right? The spirit and moral of the engineer, right? Or maybe any futures career, right? I think that is very important. I hope I listened to you when I was in my 20s, right? But you are probably not born yet.
I'm not that young as well. Maybe I need to say so. We are same age.
Okay, probably it's a bit late to know you, but nice to meet you, right, Dr. Go? Okay, so I think should we take a snap of photos, right? Just a protocol for a session
Sure,
of lectures.
No.
Okay, let's put
Yes,
on
group
cameras.
photos. Please turn
Yeah.
on your camera.
Let's put on cameras, all, please. Hi, guys, camera, please.
Let me see your handsome face.
Handsome face, huh? Okay, please.
Irene.
Okay, Karin.
Daniel.
Yeah,
So they
please.
are forced to be here.
Ayman.
They are forced to be here to listen to my talk. That
Part of the
reason.
part of the reason,
Irene.
right?
Hopefully, I
Izzat.
didn't board them up.
But this is
Yummy.
very inspiring,
Sulaiman.
right?
Just to put it in the brief way, I'm still learning, really. I learned through the process of talk to the student, talk to you all. I'm just too much thing for us to learn, and just to stay motivated and enjoy the process and get excited in picking up new things.
Yeah. We are all learning. Keep on. This is lifetime learning, right? But I think the moral of the story, I think the biggest takeaway is the open-minded and willing to face the new challenge, right? So this is very important. Be ready and be positive, right? And looking for opportunity and collaboration. I think this is for all expertise, all domain. You need that kind of attitude and spirit. Thank you very much, participants. Right? Please.
1-5.
Yes, please register your attendance, please, and answer to the questionnaire by Prof. Sam, right? Okay. I also like to ask to all the participants, please voice out and say thank you to Dr. Gu and Prof. Sam. You may voice out, right? Or you want to type. Beri salam dan terima kasih kepada Dr. Go dan Dr. Prof. Sam lah. Right, silakan.
Thanks to you all. Thanks for your
Thank
time.
you, Dr.
Yeah.
Thanks for your
Thank you,
invitation also.
Dr. Go
Thank you, UTHM.
Dr.
Thank
Toong.
you, Prof.
Yes.
Prof.
Masih.
And
Thank
also all the students. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for
Especially
the
all the
organization.
students.
I think the peak number is about 120 plus participants, right, in the same section. Thank you very much, Dr. Go. Hope to minum teh sometime in Kuala Lumpur or meet you together. Okay.
Sure.
No, I will bring Dr. T to go to meet you when you come back.
Sure.
Okay, see you.
No,
Bye bye.
no, wait, I will go to the university to meet you all as well.
Thank
No
you all.
worries.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
And
Take care,
invite
take
you
care.
to UTHM as well as INITI.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
So that is the end
Bye.
of our session. Thank you very much. Thank you all participants. You may leave the session now. See you. Bye bye, and have a nice weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Doctor.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.